If you thought Adam Peters was done surprising us, you are completely wrong. Because what just happened with our offensive coordinator and what's being said about one of our most important players is going to totally change the perspective of this season. And that's not all. Because while some dreams fade in Cincinnati, Super Bowl expectations are skyrocketing here in the DMV. Stay until the end because what's coming is pure burgundy and gold. And I guarantee you'll want to comment on everything you're about to hear. Look, I know many of you Commanders fans still had that hope, that dream that Trey Hendrickson could arrive here in the DMV. And you know what? I completely understand. After years of watching this team struggle with quarterback pressure, after seeing how Dallas mocked us with Micah Parsons, after suffering watching the Giants have a Kayvon Thibodeau wreaking havoc, it was natural to dream of having one of the league's best pass rushers. But here comes reality. And it's a reality that hurts, but that we must face as adults. According to Jeremy Fowler from ESPN, the Cincinnati Bengals and Trey Hendrickson have resumed contract talks after what seemed a TOTAL impasse. Do you know what this means? That our dream of having last year's NFL sack leader with 17 and a half sacks is fading faster than a Ron Rivera play on 3rd and long. But do you know what bothers me more than losing Hendrickson? The fines this guy took for missing mandatory minicamp. $105,000 in fines. Do you think a player takes those fines if he's not sure he's going to get what he wants? You are insane if you think that. Hendrickson knew exactly what he was doing. Knew Cincinnati was going to give in, because what are they going to do without him? Let Joe Burrow handle teams like Kansas City and Baltimore alone. I tell you this, and I say it with total honesty and years of experience covering this franchise. Trey Hendrickson was never a real option for us. Why? Because Adam Peters already spent monumental resources bringing in Marshon Lattimore, which cost us a 3rd-round pick and $18 million a year. Deebo Samuel, which meant giving up a 2nd-round pick plus $25 million annually. And Laramie Tunsil, which cost us a 1st-round pick plus $22 million per season. Do you think we were going to give another fortune in picks and then pay Hendrickson a contract of $30 million plus? You are completely out of touch if you thought that. But here comes what really bothers me, and it's something we need to discuss honestly. It doesn't bother me that we don't have Hendrickson. It bothers me that we still have serious doubts about our pass rush. Javon Kinlaw has potential, YES, and I've seen the highlights from when he was healthy in San Francisco. But is it enough to compete against Yao and Hurts running all over the field? Is it enough to pressure Dak Prescott when he needs to make clutch plays? And what happens when we face Aaron Rodgers in New York? I don't think it's enough. And you know what the biggest problem is. While Cincinnati is willing to pay whatever it takes to keep their all-pro pass rusher, we are evaluating options. Those are the words Adam Peters used, evaluating options. Do you know what that means in NFL language? It means we don't have a solid plan B and O. I don't want to be all negative here, because I have to acknowledge something important. Adam Peters has made brilliant moves so far. The trade for Lattimore was genius. Getting Deebo Samuel was incredible. Bringing in Laramie Tunsil was perfect. But you know what? In this league, you can't have everything. And maybe, just maybe, Peters decided it was better to invest in protecting Jaden Daniels than in creating pressure on the opposing quarterback. But you know what worries me the most about all this? That the Bengals are going to solve their problems with Shemar Stewart, their 1st-round pick, are going to sign Hendrickson long-term. And we're going to watch from home how one of the best pass rushers in the league stays in our division. Well, not in our division, but in our conference, and we'll probably face him in playoffs if we get there. If that worries you, wait to hear what's next. Now, Commanders fans, this is what I needed to hear. Pro Football Focus just published an analysis that has the entire organization, from Dan Quinn to the last assistant coach, talking openly about the Lombardi Trophy. And you know what? I tell you, they are not only right, but they are underestimating in their expectations. after seeing what Jaden Daniels did in his rookie season. And let me remind you of the exact figures because they are incredible 12 regular season wins, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in his first playoff game, victory over Tampa Bay, epic victory over Detroit in divisional, and reached the NFC Championship game where we lost to Philadelphia by a narrow margin. All this while being a rookie. Do you realize the magnitude of what we just witnessed? The organization saw that and decided it was time to bet everything. And I mean really everything. And when I say everything, I mean Adam Peters literally mortgaged the future of this franchise in draft picks to create a competition window right now. Deebo Samuel, Laramie Tunsil, these aren't moves of let's see what happens in 2 or 3 years. These are moves of we are going for the Super Bowl in February 2026. Do you realize what it means to have Laramie Tunsil protecting Jaden's blind side? Let me explain exactly what this changes. Our offensive line was ranked 22 in pass protection last year, according to PFF 22. That means there were 21 offensive lines that protected their quarterback better than we did Jaden. And now we have a tackle who has been a Pro Bowler 4 times and who has a pass blocking rating of 85 plus in the last 3 seasons. That is burgundy and gold of the highest quality, baby. But wait, because here comes what really excites me about Tunsil. This guy isn't just a great tackle. He's a tackle who has already played on contending teams. He's been in playoffs with Houston, knows what postseason pressure feels like, knows how it is to block for a young quarterback when everyone is waiting for him to fail. Do you think it's a coincidence that Adam Peters went specifically for him? I don't think it's a coincidence at all. And let's talk about Deebo Samuel, because his 72.1 rating in reception, according to PFF, is just the tip of the iceberg. Do you remember what this guy did in the Super Bowl with San Francisco? Do you remember how he tore apart defenses in playoffs? And now that same player is going to be running routes for Jaden Daniels? Because Terry McLaurin has already proven to be legitimate WR1 material with more than 1,000 receiving yards. But now Deebo can create mismatches from the slot, can run jet sweeps like no one in the league, can make plays after the reception that are going to drive the NFC East. Defense is crazy. But here comes what has me most excited. Cliff Kingsbury now has 2 receivers who can do everything. Terry can run deep routes, intermediate routes, can make plays in the red zone. Deebo can do the same plus all the backfield work. Do you know what that means for an offensive coordinator? It means he can create formations that are going to be impossible to defend. Imagine a 2nd and 6, Deebo in motion from the slot, Terry running a comeback from the right, and Jaden with the option to hand the ball to Brian Robinson or keep it himself. What are the defenses going to do? They don't have enough players to cover IT all. And don't forget about our rookies. Josh Connolly Jr. is already showing in practices that he can be an immediate contributor on the offensive line. Jalen Lane has the physique to be a solid WR3 from day one. And Jake Krosky-Merritt can be that depth piece we need when the inevitable injuries of a 17-game season plus playoffs come. Now I ask you, and I want you to think about this seriously. With these reinforcements, with Jaden entering his 2nd season, with a full year of NFL experience, with Dan Quinn already having a year to fully implement his system, don't you feel this is our moment? Because I feel it, and I feel it in every fiber of my being of a fan who has suffered for decades in the DMV. Yes, we have to compete against the Eagles, who won the Super Bowl, and who have Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and that defense that can create pressure. Yes, we have to deal with Dallas, who always talks big, and who have Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons. And let's not forget the Giants with Daniel Jones trying to prove he deserves his contract, and with that defense, that always gives us problems. But you know what? For the first time in years, we have the weapons to respond. Dan Quinn has a roster that not only can compete with anyone, but can win against anyone. And Jaden Daniels has shown that the bigger the stage, the better he plays. Did you see what he did against Tampa Bay in playoffs? Did you see how he handled the noise in Detroit? That's our quarterback, and he's just getting started. But here comes the really crazy part, and this is going to change everything you thought about this season. And when you thought we were done with the good news, here comes the nuclear bomb. Cliff Kingsbury just gave an evaluation of Brian Robinson that has me more excited than when we drafted Jaden Daniels, more excited than when we got Deebo Samuel. And do you know why? Because what Kingsbury said isn't about stats we already know. It's not about yards per carry that we can see on ESPN. It's about something much more important. Champion mentality. Listen to these exact words from Kingsbury, and I want you to pay attention to every word because each one has meaning. He has been really focused. The most important thing that came out of last year is that any of the players we asked to come in and played at a really high level. B-Rob is a guy who has played at incredibly high level. I thought at the beginning of the year when he was really healthy, he was what we hoped he would be, and the focus this offseason has been great. He knows what this year means for him and what it can mean for us when he plays at that level. Do you understand what this means? Kingsbury, who has coordinated offenses with Kyler Murray in Arizona, who worked with Joshua Dobbs, who knows elite talent when he sees it, because he has been in the NFL for years, is telling us that Brian Robinson has not only reached another physical level, but reached another mental level. It can't be clearer than this. I tell you this, and I want you to engrave it in your minds. Last season, Jaden Daniels was our leader in rushing yards as a rookie, quarterback with 891 rushing yards. Do you think that's sustainable for a quarterback who is 6 feet 4 inches tall and weighs 210 pounds? Do you think we can reach the Super Bowl making our franchise quarterback run over 150 times again and risk injuries on every play? You are completely insane if you think that. But if Brian Robinson makes that quantum leap that Kingsbury is suggesting, if he is truly focused on what this season can mean for him and for us as an organization, then the entire landscape changes radically. Because an elite Brian Robinson, a Brian Robinson who runs like the Brian Robinson who destroyed Auburn and Georgia in Alabama, means fewer hits on Jaden, means more offensive balance, means that when playoffs come and games get physical as they always do in January, we have a 225-pound bulldozer out of Alabama ready to impose against any defense. And do you know what excites me more than all that? That Kingsbury specifically mentioned that when Robinson was completely healthy at the beginning of last year, he was what we hoped he would be. That means we've already seen flashes. We've already seen samples of what this guy can do when he is 100% healthy and 100% mentally focused. We're talking about a running back who ran for more than 700 yards last year while dealing with injuries and while learning a completely new system under Dan Quinn. But here comes the part that drives me crazy with excitement. Kingsbury said he knows what this year means for him. Do you understand what that implies? Robinson is in his 4th year. He's in a contract year. He's watching how this organization is making win-now moves, and he knows this is HA's opportunity to prove he can be the running back of a contender franchise. Do you think that motivation is a coincidence? I think that motivation is going to be unstoppable. And let's talk about something that Kingsbury mentioned, but maybe you didn't fully capture. He said that any of the players we asked to come in and played at a really high level. Do you know what that means? It means when Robinson had opportunities to be the guy when he had to carry the offense, he responded. And now with all these weapons we have around, with Deebo Samuel creating mismatches, with Terry McLaurin stretching the field, with Laramie Tunsil giving extra time in the pocket, Robinson will have more opportunities to do damage because defenses won't be able to put 8 in the box against us. Imagine this scenario. Commanders fans, 2nd and 6 on the opponent's 35-yard line. Deebo Samuel in motion, Terry McLaurin running a comeback route, Jaden Daniels with the option to audible to a running play if he sees the defense is in coverage. Robinson takes the handoff, and the defense has to decide between tackling an Alabama running back who comes with all the motivation in the world. or protecting against the pass to two all-pro level receivers. What are they going to do? They have nitrogen monoxide good options. And don't forget the complete context of what is happening. Here, this is not a rebuilding season where we are developing young players for the future. This is a win-now season where every player on this roster knows we have a competition window right now. Brian Robinson knows that if he has a monster season, if he helps carry this team to deep playoffs, he's going to get the contract he deserves. Whether it's here or elsewhere, now I ask you, and I want honest answers in the comments, with Jaden Daniels naturally evolving in his second year, with Deebo Samuel creating absolute chaos for defenses, with Laramie Tunsil protecting like an all-pro, and with Brian Robinson running like a man completely possessed by success, who the hell is going to stop us in the NFC? Because honestly, I don't see who can do it without the Eagles. They have talent, but do they have the hunger we have? Dallas, please, that team falls apart when the pressure increases. The 49ers, they're going to be dealing with an unstable quarterback situation. Green Bay, I respect Aaron Rodgers, but that team doesn't have the depth we have. The reality is this, Commanders fans, for the first time in decades, we have a running back who is mentally locked in, physically healthy, and completely motivated, running. Behind an improved offensive line, with a generational quarterback, and with weapons that can open any defense. That is a recipe for something special. Commanders fans, let's recap exactly what we just analyzed here, because I want you to understand the magnitude of this moment in the history of our franchise. Number one, yes, Trey Hendrickson stays in Cincinnati, but you know what? That used to be creative, forced us to trust our internal development, and allowed us to invest those resources in areas where we could really make a difference. Number two, our Super Bowl aspirations are not only higher than ever, they are justified by concrete moves. Deebo Samuel, Laramie Tunsil, these aren't fantasy football moves. They are chess moves by an organization that finally understands how to build around a franchise. Quarterback. And number three, Brian Robinson is having a mental transformation. That can be the key that takes us from a good team to a championship team. And that's not hyperbole. That's analysis based on what one of the most respected offensive coordinators in the league is telling us. But do you know what's most important about all this? That for the first time in more than 30 years, we are not talking about potential. We're not talking about building for the future. We're not talking about maybe next year if everything goes right. We're talking about right now. We're talking about an organization that made the right decisions at the right time, that trusted in its future quarterback when others doubted. And that is building something special here in the DMV, I guarantee you. And I put my reputation as an analyst behind this guarantee that tomorrow we are going to have more explosive news about our Commanders. Because this organization never stops making moves. Dan Quinn never stops developing players. Adam Peters never stops finding ways to improve. And we as a community can't stop supporting them. Leave me your comments. And I want intelligent comments. Comments that show you truly understood the depth of what we just analyzed. Do you think Brian Robinson can be the final piece of the puzzle that takes us to the Super Bowl? Do you agree with my analysis that we didn't need Hendrickson because we already have the important pieces? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that we can not only reach playoffs but win the Super Bowl this year? Hit like if you think 2025 is our year. Hit LIK if you trust Adam Peters. Hit LIK if you believe in Jaden Daniels. And hit LIKE if you think Brian Robinson is going to have a monster season. Subscribe if you want to stay up to date with every move of this organization, with every important practice, with every meaningful statement from our coaches and players. And comment which of these 3 pieces of news impacted you the most. And why not? Because this is more than a YouTube channel, Commanders fans. This is a family that has suffered together, that has celebrated together, and that is going to win together. This is our burgundy and gold community, and you are an essential part of everything we build here every day. If you haven't subscribed yet, literally, what are you waiting for? Be part of this family that bleeds burgundy and gold, that lives and breathes football, and that is ready to celebrate Washington's first Super Bowl in over 30 years. And remember, because this will never change no matter how many years pass or how many Super Bowls we win, hail to the Redskins!